The pharmacist's eyes met mine across the counter, holding a silent warning I was too sick to understand. My daughter-in-law, Nellie, stood beside me, her hand resting on my arm in a perfect imitation of concern. In my hands, I held what I thought was life-saving medicine. In reality, it was a potential death sentence prescribed not by a doctor, but by the very woman who called me Dad. She thought my $650,000 life savings would be hers. She had no idea I was about to make her pay for every last cent. If you believe that justice should be cold, calculated, and absolutely devastating, then you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is a story of betrayal so deep the revenge had to be legendary. Like this video, and let's dive into how one greedy couple's plan for an inheritance backfired in the most satisfying way imaginable. The fever hit me like a freight train. One minute I was fine, the next I was burning from the inside out. The world swimming at the edges. I gripped the doorframe of my own living room, my knuckles white, watching my son, Paul, and his wife sprawled across my leather couch. My couch. In my house. They were lost in some fantasy show on TV, mesmerized by fictional drama, while a very real one was unfolding right in front of them. "Paul," I rasped, my voice sounding like gravel. "I need to get to the pharmacy. My temperature is almost 104. He didn't even turn, just shifted his weight against my throw pillow. That casual dismissal, it hurt more than the fever. I could feel the sweat soaking through my pajamas, each breath a struggle. And there they were, my son, who I'd sacrificed everything for, and his wife, who I'd welcomed into my home 3 years ago when they had nowhere else to go. Nellie finally glanced over, her eyes catching the blue light of the screen. She rolled them, a theatrical, exaggerated gesture of pure annoyance. "It's not like you're actually dying, Ray. Take some aspirin." Aspirin. The words hung in the air like poison. For 3 years, they had lived in my house, rent-free. 3 years of me covering the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, while Paul's search for a tough job market never seemed to involve leaving the couch. The anger, hot and sharp, cut through the feverish haze. "You've been living in my house." The words tore from my throat, raw and bitter. Paul's head finally snapped in my direction, his face twisted with irritation. Here we go again, the guilt trips. Guilt trips. I took a shaky step into the room. "You haven't paid a dime. You haven't looked for a job in 6 months. You wouldn't understand, Dad. It's different now." Wouldn't understand? 40 years I spent at Morrison's auto shop. 40 years of 5 a.m. alarms, of grease under my fingernails that never came out, of coming home too tired to eat. I understand hard work. What I didn't understand was the stranger sitting on my couch, the son I no longer recognized. The fever was making me reckless, stripping away my filter. "Why should you rush anyway?" I heard myself say. "You'll inherit this house eventually." That got their attention. Nellie paused the TV. The silence in the room was suddenly electric, plus the $200,000 in savings. The number just hung there. I watched Nellie's eyes change. The bored, glassy look was gone, replaced by a sharp, predatory focus. She was doing the math in her head. House assessed at $450,000, plus $200,000 in cash. A lifetime of my sweat and sacrifice reduced to a number, $650,000. That was my worth to them. Not a father, not a provider, but an obstacle. An old man with a fever standing between them and their payday. "Dad, wait." Paul's voice was different now, oily. "Maybe we were a bit hasty, if you're really feeling that bad." But it was too late. The damage was done. They weren't seeing a sick father anymore. They were seeing a winning lottery ticket. "Get your rest, Ray," Nellie said, her voice dripping with a sweetness so fake it made my teeth ache. Tomorrow, when I'd be one day closer to the grave they were suddenly so eager for me to occupy. I turned and began the long, agonizing climb up the stairs, leaving them below to whisper and plot. Their greed finally awakened. An hour later, there was a soft knock on my bedroom door. It was Nellie, her expression a perfect mask of concern. "Ray," she said, her voice soft, "I changed my mind. I can't let you suffer like this. Let's go to the pharmacy." The sudden reversal was jarring. An hour ago, a season finale was more important than my health. Now she was Florence Nightingale. But the fever had muddled my thinking, and the need for medicine was overwhelming. She helped me dress with a practiced efficiency that felt unsettling, her hand cool on my burning forehead. As we walked to the car, something felt wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The drive was even stranger. The rain slicked the streets, and Nellie gripped the steering wheel with a tension that didn't match the quiet roads. Then the question started. "Ray," she began, her voice casual, too casual. "That will you mentioned, is it really made out to us?" The question hit me like a bucket of ice water, clearing my head for a moment. "Why do you ask, Nellie?" "Just curious," she said, but her eyes kept flicking to the rearview mirror. "And the savings, how much did you say was in the account?" This wasn't concern. This was an interrogation. This was a vulture confirming the size of its meal before it moved in for the kill. I knew, right then, this trip to the pharmacy wasn't about my health. It was about hers. The fluorescent lights at the Health Plus pharmacy were painfully bright. Stephen, the head pharmacist, greeted me by name. He's a good man, known me for 15 years. "Evening, Ray," he said, his smile warm, but his eyes noting my pale, sweating face. As he prepared the antibiotics and fever reducers, Nellie stood beside me, unnervingly still, her eyes darting between Stephen and the medications. The total came to $35. I reached for my wallet, and my blood ran cold. It wasn't there. I think I left it in the car," I mumbled, my face burning with embarrassment. "I'll be right back." The walk back to the car felt like a mile. The cold rain did little to cool my fever. I found the wallet on the passenger seat, right where I'd left it in my other jacket. It took me a full 3 minutes to make the slow, shaky journey back inside. But in those 3 minutes, everything had changed. As I approached the counter, I saw Stephen through the glass, his posture rigid. Nellie was standing near the door, looking jumpy. When I paid, Stephen wouldn't look at me. His hands, usually so steady, fumbled with the receipt. He handed me the bag of medication, but as I took it, his hand briefly covered mine. His eyes finally met mine, and they were filled with an urgent, desperate warning. "Ray," he said, his voice so low only I could hear, "I think we need to talk." But before he could say more, Nellie was at my elbow, rushing me towards the door. "You need to get home and rest," she chirped, practically pushing me outside. As we reached the car, my mind was racing. Stephen's look, Nellie's urgency, something was terribly wrong. "Wait!" Stephen's voice cut through the night. He was running out of the pharmacy, his professional calm shattered. He ran right up to us, breathing hard. "Your daughter-in-law," he panted, looking right at me. "She switched the pills."
I saw it on the security camera when you went to get your wallet. The world tilted on its axis, switched the pills. I looked at the bag in my hand, then at Nellie. Her face, illuminated by the parking lot, was a terrifying mask of pale, calculated rage. She wasn't concerned. She was caught. I prepared your actual medications while you were gone, Stephen said, holding out a second, identical bag. These are safe. I don't know what she put in that other bag, but it wasn't antibiotics. The pieces slammed together with horrifying clarity. Her sudden kindness, the questions in the car, it was all a plot. She wasn't trying to help me get better. She was trying to help me die.